Just tuning in, Reed Foster, the illustrious CEO of Biotech Industries, was found dead this morning in his car outside of his San Francisco home. In a vicious murder spree, his fiancée was also found stabbed to death a short distance from the house on a trail commonly used by beachgoers and tourists.
You've become messy, my friends. Your activities have drawn unnecessary attention. I feel compelled to remind you that discretion is of the utmost importance. Torch and Leech woman work even now to turn any evidence of our presence to ash. Your carelessness will not be tolerated. Consider this your final warning. Fortunately,
Hey, tell me the good news. You sure? Fucking knew it. Perfect. All right. I got it. Thank you. Gotcha.
My name is Seth Piper. It's been several months since the incident that left me badly injured. I've been on the road ever since trying to hunt down the puppets. Haven't really eaten or slept in 5 days. So far, this trail's leading me in the middle of nowhere. Small abandoned towns close to Bodega Bay. My mother, she worked for biotech in the Phoenix division, doing research for the Omega project. They came after her when I was 8. By some miracle, she survived, spending the next 3 years in a coma.
Yeah!
It was Halloween night. They came looking for the serum. Once they found it, they burned the house to the ground. I barely escaped, left with a permanent reminder of that night. Ever since, I've been tracking their movements, trailing the bodies they leave behind, always one step too late. Last I heard, Omega Lab was broken into, and 6-shooter is missing. The puppets are on the run, and so is a mysterious figure that I've been tracking as well. I've been following their trail for a while, with the help of others like me, trying to stop them before they can kill again. I'm headed there now. Just pray I'm not too late.
Hello? Hello? Anyone here?
Flowing through you is running out. The elixir was once thought to be a miracle, giving life to the lifeless. But dark magic always has a price. But you know better now. It's nothing more than a curse. A ticking clock dangling before your eyes. The same as all other living things. Even the gods couldn't figure out how to make the effect permanent. So many lives lost for so few years. Even now, don't you? Your life force slowly draining, leaving you trapped in that hollow vessel. Patience, my friends. We're nearly there. You're here. Over there. When you came back without your friend's weapons, I thought it would be best he didn't wake up. Perhaps I was wrong.
Got you, fucker.
Biotech's ignorance has paid off in spades. Without you, these parts would atrophy just as any human limb would. Fortunately, the mechanisms were engineered with Dulon's genius. They've lasted decades and will last decades more. As will you, my friend. Do not fear. It won't be much longer. Our time is near.
Shit.
Let us let go of the past. Dulon's ideas were revolutionary, if not misguided. He always believed in the good of humanity. I don't. He's nothing more than a relic now. A memory. A ghost. Blade is dying. Slipping into death's cradle once again. A sacrifice that must be made. Temporarily. Biotech's research into the Omega Project proved fruitless. Just as I knew it would. Until now. The missing component in the serum. I know where it is. And now we have the map. Retrieving six-shooter wasn't merely for a reunion. No. He carries the key to the missing piece of the serum. But for now, we must deal with our uninvited guest. Six-shooter, let us welcome our unexpected visitor properly. Mr. Piper, at long last we meet. You've been searching for me for a long time. Unfortunately, my time is limited until my work is complete. By the time you read this, biotech will have been reduced to ashes, the Omega Project along with it. The world is changing, corrupted by a thirst for greed and power that will never be quenched. To that end, I have taken it upon myself that all the deaths in search of immortality were not in vain. A new dark age is coming, one in which fear and terror rule the streets, where all the creatures of the night walk the earth.
Hi there, my name is Patrick Delaney and I'm the creator of A Puppet Master Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed our fan film. That was the second part. We put a lot of work into it, a lot of heart. I was glad we were able to get it out to you finally after 5 years. I know a lot of you have been waiting a really long time, including myself and Vanessa and Paul. And we're super happy with how it turned out. In keeping the spirit of the original movies, we even recreated the Video Zone intro from the old Full Moon movies back in its glory days. And I was a little nostalgic for that, and I'm sure a lot of you felt that same way watching that. And I thought, you know, the first time we filmed, the first Puppet Master Halloween that we filmed, we weren't really thinking a whole lot ahead of behind the scenes footage and doing that kind of stuff. And thankfully, Vanessa, who was the makeup artist slash assistant director, she was an integral part of the first one. Her and Paul and I did both of these movies together. It's just the three of us, so sometimes if you're wondering, well, hey, why isn't more going on here? That's the reason. A lot of it is just the constraints with working with three people. You know, the original movies had many, many people working on them. We have three, that's it. So despite that, I think what we put out is pretty decent quality, and I've been learning a lot since the first movie that we did. Hopefully the quality, you know, it was apparent what the quality we're doing. Audio is something that I always kind of struggle with, so I've been trying to do better on the audio front. You know, all these things cost money, all the lenses, the audio equipment, the lighting, the props, of course. We're just really happy to be able to share this kind of stuff with you guys. I know that you love it. If you're watching this, then you're kind of somewhat interested, at least, in how we made it. So fortunately, this time around, we had tons of behind-the-scenes footage and photos. I have wrapped all that up together to make it as coherent as possible for this video zone so you guys can see how we made the movie. And I thought I'd kind of go over a couple things, too, about the effects and stuff like that. So one thing that we did that was kind of fun, that was different from the first movie, is the opening credit scene. So anyone who watched the movie and watched Littlest Reich knows that it had an animated sequence. It was, you know, hand-drawn and illustrated by an artist. And I wish I knew what their name was off the top of my head, but that's what it's inspired by. Their art, you know, was incredible. They're far better artists than I am, you know. I'll admit that. I just did my best. I like to do art on my free time. I thought it would be a cool way to sort of bridge the gap between the first movie and the second movie. And, you know, obviously we don't have the budget to film that. Otherwise, that would have been cool to do. The puppets, basically, you know, Grimm's sort of taking the puppets and bringing them to Biotech's headquarters to rescue Six Shooter. And I was like, well, that's perfect to, you know, to sort of have the lead-in from the, you know, the opening scene at the lab there, and then the scene in which the movie kind of kicks off. And I was like, well, hey, if I can't film it, why don't I illustrate it? So that's what I ended up doing. I drew, I think, 22 illustrations in total in this sketchbook. And I think it took about 2 weeks in all. But, you know, basically what I did was I would draw each picture and do it with I would do it with marker. And then after that, you'd go through and then you film it with the camera for so many seconds. You have to zoom in, you know, and the letterbox has to be perfect. Otherwise, it doesn't frame right. And you sort of just go through, film each of these, put them in order, and run a filter over it to sort of give it that comic book look. And I thought it was a really cool way to sort of bridge the movies, and that's what we ended up doing. Let me know if you guys liked it. I thought it worked. You know, some people wanted something a little different probably from the first movie. I did too, just because I didn't want to redo the same thing. And I thought that the illustrator route was the way to go. I'll go ahead and say that, you know, filming, we did that in November. Vanessa lives down in Los Angeles. She works on actual productions, you know, on movies and TV shows as a makeup artist. Super talented, and I've known her since we were kids. And Paul I've known because of Puppet Master for years and years. We both collected a lot of stuff together, and I've made a lot of friends and met a lot of cool people that love Puppet Master as much as I do. I've been watching them since I was a kid, and I saw them in, I think it was a Long's drugstore, and they used to rent VHS tapes, and that's where I saw the first one and rented it. And I had, you know, as part of the Full Moon fan club, I had the model kits, the cool ones back in the day, the resin ones that are impossible to find now. So Vanessa and Paul and I, you know, we did the first movie. This time it finally worked out where we were able to get the second one going. And I wrote the script for that in a pretty short amount of time. It doesn't usually take long because the films aren't that long. You know, this one's about, I think it was 30 minutes. First one was 20 minutes, and that was with the intro. This one's about 30 minutes with the intro, so about 27 minutes around there. The thing, you know, we ended up going down to shoot it. My wife and I got married at this place called the Red Barn. It is in Los Molinos, California, and we are pretty good friends with the owners now. They're really, really nice people. Thank you to Ryan and Danielle. They allowed us to go out to their house and shoot at their house and shoot on their property. They've got an orchard, tons of room out there, and we couldn't have asked for anything better because there was lots of different spots we could shoot at. And you know, that's something people don't understand too, is that, you know, I have to write the script, and a lot of times I don't know where we're going to be doing this at. So I'm kind of having to just sort of get a vague idea of what we're going to be doing, and then we have to sort of improvise when we get there, which is the case, you know, this time around. The first time we shot at my house here, that was a little easier because we didn't have to go far or travel much. This, you know, location was about a 45-minute drive from where I currently live. We would wake up at about, I think it was 5:30 in the morning, around 6, try and leave by 8, or try and get there by 8, I should say. And then we would shoot all day. So I'll go ahead and play some of the footage from day one. Day one primarily consisted of shooting the bridge scene with 6-shooter, which was kind of funny actually, because the part where Seth Piper / Paul wakes up in the Jeep and then was shot, and then we shot 6-shooter scene. And the reason we did that, because I didn't even plan to do that originally, the reason we did that was because it was super windy that day and very atmospheric. So I was like, well, we got all this wind, and my costume for Grim, the new puppet master, it's got a lot of like robes and flowing things. So I was like, this is perfect to shoot, you know, with the wind. So we got that set up really quick. I shot my scenes in my costume out on that bridge, and little did we know we'd start shooting 6-shooter scenes right after that. And that actually took 2 days. It wasn't just a one-day job, because even though he's, you know, it's a very short sequence in which he's in the movie, but all those little things that he's doing, you know, where his hands are moving, or he's walking, or he's, his guns are twirling, that takes a lot of time. And I'll show you a little bit more of how that was done too. But for now, let me go ahead and play a couple clips that we shot behind the scenes of us on the set. I'll go ahead and fill you in a little bit of the details right after this.
Nice. It actually looks like it's getting more indented.
Really? It gets indented more over time.
All right, this is our first video zone officially. We've been filming all morning, got a lot done. Now we're onto this bridge scene. We've got our hero, Seth Piper. We've got our makeup artist, Vanessa. And we're shooting on this rickety bridge and this beautiful property, and hope to bring you guys some updates soon. Say something, Paul.
This is fun. Like, literally gonna shoot up this gun. Pretty badass. So right now we're currently setting up 6-shooter for the rod puppet scene. So we got a rod in his head, and then we're gonna have several rods which will be going through the sleeves connected to his hands, which will be puppeteering his arms for this scene.
And then all of his rods are down there. Yeah, there's a million of them. And we're gonna get those set up right after this.
Alright, let me see the action again.
Ready?
Yeah.
Now?
Super close.
So top heavy.
Yeah.
Can you just try and hold this? I thought I had more like things on here to like keep it from falling. I wonder why I wonder if I removed them. I have a ton of. Alright, you got it?
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll have to help, or do you think you could do the hand and the neck pull, or no?
Yeah. This one's a pretty tight rod.
Well, that's fine enough. Okay, so a little bit of background on these videos. So, like I said, 6-shooter was probably the biggest hurdle. He's not an easy puppet to manipulate by any means. This one behind me here is about 20, I would say about 25 or 26 inches tall. It's got, you know, he has different sets of hands. Some of them are holding the pistols. The other ones are just his regular hands. And then you have his pistols separate from that. I handmade everything on his costume, you know, the leather belts with the bullets, all that stuff was a ton of work. The shirt was done by a friend of mine. The head was 3D modeled by a friend of mine too, and painted by Steve Isles, who is a super talented painter. There was a friend of mine, he painted a lot of the other heads, you know, this tunneler head, the jester heads you see in the movie he did. Really, really talented. 6-shooter was definitely the hardest to maneuver. It took all 3 of us, you know, and we primarily used rods for him through the whole thing. His head was pretty lightweight for how big it is, you know, it's about this big. His hat is about this big, like a size of a small dinner plate. And I don't have a regular hat, so his hat's made of resin. It's a 3D print, super heavy. Unfortunately, it was our only option at this time. I want to get something else for next time, because at one point when we were filming, I wish we had got it on film, but his hat fell off and broke on the dock there, or the bridge, and had to be glued on the spot. Thankfully, it didn't shatter, otherwise we probably really would have been screwed, and I don't know how we would have been able to fix that. A lot of the puppets' movements in the film are done with rods, and in this day and age, it's pretty simple to remove them mostly. I would say about 80% of the rod removal I did myself on my editing software. You know, it doesn't even need to be, these rods are green and pink to manipulate them, the stands. They really don't need to even be painted a color now. You can just use a regular rod and just remove it digitally. A friend of mine kind of explained how to do that, and I was able to pick it up pretty quickly, so thankfully I'm able to do that. I think for the most part it turns out great. All you do is you take a snapshot of a background, you know, you put your object there, in this case the puppets, and then you'll have the rods and the people moving them, in which case was us. And then you can just highlight the puppet, and it pulls it from the, you know, the footage, and then you place that over the background, and voila, it works. What is a little harder is when you don't have just a shot of the background, or the rods are moving in front of the object, which is to say, like when 6-shooters turn sideways and you see him holstering the pistols, that is a lot more difficult to do, to remove the rods, because they're going in front of the object, in this case the clothing. And I had to outsource that to somebody else for a couple of those shots when he holsters the pistol or pulls it out to shoot it, or the more complicated shots like this. So as you can see, you know, all of his arms are moving at once, his head's moving. There's a little clip too of us puppeteering him. But to do something like that digitally, it's a little harder and more advanced than I can do. And I could do it. I did do a take of it myself, and it just didn't look that great. It wasn't quite as clean on the removal, so I outsourced that. Update for the video zone. We are taking a small lunch break. V's got a hot dog. Paul's got, what did you get? What'd you end up eating instead though? Was it a oh, you didn't eat that burger? No. Oh my gosh. And we are clearing some space right now on the laptop to make room for more footage. We've got 50 gigabytes so far. And then we're going to be filming some more on this lovely piece of land. And tomorrow we're going to be shooting inside the barn. So we will catch you soon for the next update. We shot the climax earlier with 6-shooter on the bridge, so that's done. And thank God for that, because it was a pain.
Back everyone. We just took a little lunch break with the casting crew. Now we're going to be doing a couple of scenes with Blade and Tunler on the tractor over there. And we got our stop motion ready with our rods in place, so jib jab action going on. Should be done wrapping up filming pretty shortly, so stay tuned. Thank you. So we're shooting the scene right now where Tunler pokes his head out from behind the wheel and the drill starts going. We got him rigged up to the drill right now.
There he is.
Kind of coming off of the body, but it's the only way we can do it without drilling through the actual body at the moment.
And then we also shot a Blade scene a minute ago over here, which is a little tricky up on this rusty tractor. So I think this is going to be the last scene for the day, and then we're going to probably call it quits from here and come back tomorrow. All right, let's try that.
Creepy. Can you move him around a little bit? I'm filming for her.
Okay, that's like kind of peeking out. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
We might have to or whoever wants to hide around the back here. And then I'll pull the trigger. Like, can I spin it now?
Ooh.
Is that gonna work?
Okay, yeah.
I'll do it slow and then get it going. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's something. And that was most of day one. As you can see, at one point we had to get that log that 6-shooter kind of comes out from behind. And there was a pile of wood that was a little ways down on their property where they have like a shooting range. I was like, oh, let's grab a piece of one of these logs and carry it on over. Little did I know, they were pretty freaking heavy. I think that log must have been like 70 pounds or something, which isn't too bad to move from one spot to another. But when it's like, this wasn't just a short walk, it was like pretty far down there. I felt like I almost got a hernia doing that, but Paul came at the end to give me a hand with it, and we successfully pulled it off. That was mostly day one, was doing all the bridge stuff with 6-shooter. We did a little bit of that the tractor scene too, where Paul's kind of walking around. And there was a little deleted scene there initially in which Blade, was gonna attack Paul. Paul goes to swing the bat at him, and we just didn't get the shots that we wanted for that one. And I think the angles, it just wasn't working out well. And later, as the story went on and it kind of came together more too, it made more sense that Blade's sort of running out of power, his serum's running low. And that's why I ended up going with the sequence that you see in the film where he just is sort of running out of gas, his energy's low, and he just doesn't end up attacking Paul, and Paul kind of just keeps going. And then there was another part where Tunneler's sort of coming out from around the tractor, and his drill's spinning. You probably saw a couple clips of that in there. And that just wasn't necessary. Tunneler was kind of just spying on him, so it was kind of fun to shoot, but we didn't really need it in the end, so that was cut also. And on to day 2.
Day 2, filming Puppet Master Halloween 2. So we are on set in a house right now, and this is the beginning of the film, sort of. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and our lovely hosts of the property, Ryan and Danielle, have graciously allowed us to shoot here, and they've got a beautiful home, and as you can see, all the property out there that we've been using for yesterday too. And our lovely makeup artist, Vanessa, has recreated Paul's scar for day 2. Look at that.
It's pretty deep.
But yeah, we're gonna get started, and then we'll give you an update soon. How's that?
Yeah. It was a little bit too low.
Too low?
Yeah.
I was trying to hold it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Maybe a little lower? Yes. Okay. And
Too low again?
that's good.
Alright, let's see.
So we're almost done filming. We just did a battle scene with Pinhead where he gets a knife through his chest. Yeah. And we're doing the kitchen scene, so it should turn out pretty good when done. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully we can deliver a really good movie for you guys.
His head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's like facing to the left right now, so if you turn it, it'll twist it like this.
Okay, you want me to follow Paul?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was thinking. Does that work?
Yeah, so he's right now to the left.
Yeah, so right now he's looking. Action. That looked pretty. Action. Forget it. Don't look at the corner first. Like you're looking at the corner. Ready? Action. And action. Okay, action. All right. He's classy. The gentleman dancing. All right. And action. That was definitely the best one. Let me just.
Can you see me at all?
No. Ready and action. Action. Ready? I can't see.
How fast do you want me to move?
Like fast, like because you're supposed to like get up
Right.
and like. Ready? Action. So day 2 was filled with a lot of fun stuff too. That was the day that we got to shoot inside their house, which was super pretty. I'm jealous. I love the way it's designed. And, you know, we had Paul walking around in there trying to do like a little hunt for the puppets, sort of just going through the rooms. He ends up having a knife fight with Pinhead, as you can see. And that gun that he's carrying around, that Glock, is actually a toy gun, but it's the only one I could find that actually you could load a magazine into it. You could chamber a round of those plastic shells, and then when you would shoot, the slide actually would eject the shells. So a lot of special effects, like in movies when they shoot guns off, you'll notice the slides don't move, nothing happens, but they'll add like a flash. And I just think that looks super cheesy. So I wanted something that functioned like a real gun would, and then we just added, you know, the flames in there and the sound effects, and I think it came together pretty well. Second day was in the house. I think the lighting in there I especially liked most of the time. There was a shot where I needed a couple more close-ups of Pinhead, so we put those in there that were filmed after the fact. And another deleted scene that was in there was when Paul goes to shoot at Tunneler. And originally, you know, in the finished film, he sort of like looks over and Paul shoots and just kind of misses and hits around him. But in the original film, how we were going to have it is Tunneler sort of running away. And we had him puppeteered running, and it just, I mean, it would have worked fine. Like the bolts are kind of hitting close to him as he's running. I don't know, something about it just didn't look right. You know, I'll put a little clip in here of that too so you can see that. I think it would have worked out fine, but I think it just looked better how it is now, where he's just sort of standing there and Paul just has horrible aim, as you can tell from the beginning of the movie. So we just left it like that. Added some bullet holes into the wall. And then after that, we ended up shooting the scene over where that old rusted truck is with the, you know, the tree out there and all the leaves and stuff. And that was especially kind of pretty. And we had bought that crossbow pistol. I think it was called the Demon. That thing, I'll tell you, it wasn't great quality. Initially, on this, you know, when Pinhead shoots the bolt at Paul, it hits into the tree. And what happened was we kept shooting it, and it kept bouncing off the tree. I don't know if it was the quality of the bolts or the crossbow, or that the tree was incredibly hard. I think it was an oak tree, but the bolts just would not stick into it. They'd hit it and bounce right out. So I ended up having to drill a hole in the tree, put the bolt into it, and then we had to reverse it and pull it out. And that's what you see in the finished movie. And it was kind of funny. There's actually a scene where I did shoot it almost point blank at the tree, and I've got this plastic bin just so I don't get a ricochet in my face. And we tried that. That still didn't work. So we ended up just, you know, shooting it in and reversing it. And I thought that scene where Pinhead shoots, you know, has the crossbow and shoots it at Paul was pretty cool. some of those little things. And then, it ends up becoming Paul's next weapon once he shoots at Pinhead and he takes off. Yeah, that was pretty much the end of day 2. We did have another deleted scene. There was a couple deleted scenes where he's kind of hunting a little bit more, comes across Tunneler sort of chilling up on this, like, look, it was just like a rusty piece of metal kind of up in the trees. And we did film all that, and the lighting didn't look good because it was sort of near sunset and it was kind of dark and shadowy. And we were very limited on time at the end there. We had to go, we had to get back, and we shot it. And once again, the crossbow gun failed. Paul actually hit Tunneler with the crossbow bolt and it bounced off him. Yeah, so I think that's another reason we didn't use it. If it had stuck in him and knocked him off, that would have been one thing. But as you can see, it hit him and he just kind of like flinches and then he doesn't even move really other than that. So like, well, let's scratch that scene out of there. So that was another deleted scene. And I think that about covers it for day 2. We actually had time to go get lunch that day. The first day we did, but it was a little more rushed. Second day went a little more smooth. And then I think the third day was probably one of the funnest days, one of the more stressful ones too. So I'll go ahead and dive into that. I'll play the footage for you so you guys can check it out.
Day 3.
Day 3, baby. We're doing it.
With Jester.
Oh, wait, but we're doing it.
It's Friday, November 8th, 2024. Hey everyone, we're wrapping up filming. It's Friday, November 8th. Today we will be shooting the lab scene, which is behind us, and doing some catch-up shots that we missed. And yeah, today's the last day of filming, so hopefully we'll have this out to you by
early next year, probably.
Early next year, yeah. Thanks for tuning in our video zone, and hope you enjoy it.
Behind him, you can kind of like turn the thing, I guess. Okay. Because he'll have to grab it like about right here, or maybe like that. How's that look?
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
This is it, last day.
Hey everyone, we are filming up a Puppet Master Halloween 2 right now. We are shooting the final scene, which you can see is the laboratory set. You don't have much longer filming. After this scene, we probably have like one more shot and then we're done wrapping up the film. It's been a long journey. We're all tired and hungry, and we worked our asses off to bring you guys a second Puppet Master Halloween 2, and we appreciate your fan base and everyone that supported us and said we should make another one. It wouldn't be possible without you guys, and we just want to say thank you for being fans, and hopefully we can deliver something that you'll love for generations to come. Appreciate every one of you. Thank you.
Okay, and action. Perfect. Yeah. Let me get that a little bit. That's probably good, right? Isn't it? No, it's okay. Okay, ready? Bring that. Oh, it's And that's day 3's footage. So we started off shooting a little bit of outdoor stuff. We shot more of the 6-shooter footage. So for the spinning gun effect, in part 5, when 6-shooter's got his, stop motion pistols swinging around and he holsters them and stuff, I thought that was just like one of the coolest effects ever. I love stop motion. I wish we could do it. We don't have armatures or the budget for something like that. What we ended up doing to kind of create a similar effect was some clever editing, and what we did is we had a hand, 6-shooter had his hand like this. We drilled a hole into his hand, not all the way through though, and then we had a rod going into his hand that went this way. It was pretty long, and then we had a hole through the pistol, and then we put that on the rod so it's over kind of like this, and we basically would take the gun and slap the tip of it like this, and the gun would spin like this. Like, gonna be. And basically, when you cut that only for split seconds, it looks fine. Obviously if you saw the whole video, you'd just see someone's hand hitting it and it would spin a little and stop. We did that to make the pistol spin, and kind of moved his hand as he was doing it, so like kind of was in conjunction, so it looked natural mostly. And then we would cut to like the barrel shooting of the guns, Paul getting shot a couple times. The scene in which Paul shoots at Pinhead again, shoots that crossbow at Pinhead, that was one of the only times that I think it was the only time that the crossbow bolt actually stuck into the wood there. And that was pretty cool. We had shot a couple before that. They just disappeared. We still don't know where they went. We tried to find them forever. I think they went in the creek. So we ended up shooting that Pinhead scene. For Pinhead, I have a sweater that looks very similar to the one that's sewn for him, and it's a similar color. If you look closely, they're not identical, but it's got the same type of pattern, and I think I had bought it thinking it was the right material. It wasn't, but now what we do is use it like when we need to have a set of hands with the gloves on. So I'll like put my hands in there with the gloves, and then we'll have the sweater covering up and kind of just cut the angle so it looks like he's moving. That's how we do Pinhead's hands most of the time. When Paul was in the kitchen fighting with him, sometimes we have to do reverse shots where he catches him, when he swings the knife at him. So the third day was also the time in which we set up the lab scene, and I think I underestimated the time a little bit on how long that would take. I had to order like a chemistry set from Amazon. We had to set it up. There wasn't directions in it. Maybe they just assumed people would be familiar, but that ended up taking a lot longer than we thought it would, setting up that little scene there. Thankfully, somebody had done the artwork for the posters from the old movies, so we printed out some of those, and whoever did those, thank you. Like, the art's really cool. Whoever retouched them up, whoever did them, I don't know who it is. So thank you to them. Through the first movie, it was just, so we ended up filming out at the lab. God, I think we were out there doing those scenes with Grim. I was wearing that mask. All that stuff was hot. I had like a black mask under the actual mask just to, hide my neck and stuff. And then I had the hood on and those gloves, and I'm trying to, film, and I can't look through the viewfinder hardly. I got these wires by my eyes. So Vanessa did a lot of and Paul sometimes would do like behind the camera to try and tell me how it looks. They would set it up, and they're quite a bit shorter than I am. For them to see out of the viewfinder, I think was a little tricky sometimes, but they did a really good job. Sometimes I thought they did a better job than I could have done anyways if it had been me. And as you can see, there's a couple moments where I was wearing the full costume and I could still sort of film things how I thought they should. Sort of frame it how I wanted it and get it all in there. Paul the whole time, and Seth Piper just sort of doing his thing, getting attacked by the puppets. He sort of goes on the offensive at the end. And the second movie, I wanted to have a little bit more to it. It was still the same 3 people, but I thought we could further the story a little bit. So we did that cool opening credit scene for you to introduce the new puppet master, Grim. Those little lab sequences I thought were kind of a throwback to the second puppet master where Toulon's sort of walking around. Obviously that lab was a little more extravagant movie set. We were working and Danielle and Ryan's foreman had a barn out there. You know, they were nice enough to let us shoot in there, and it looks kind of creepy in there, and we set up some of our stuff, and ended up working out pretty well. The lighting was amazing, which was strange. I brought a light out there, but we didn't even end up using it because it was so perfect already with just this simple work light mounted underneath. The way it cast shadows and stuff was great. We ended up going to do some reshoots later, just Paul and I, because Vanessa had to go back to LA. So I ended up finding the original trunk that was used for this series. It was made by Indestructo. I don't know what model it is. I don't know if they have model numbers. It has a serial number, but it's not a model number. And it's very hard to find for some reason nowadays. I see one that looks almost identical, but it's a tiny bit different. And I finally found this one day, so I drove with Paul down to, God, near Bakersfield somewhere, way out there. And we ended up bringing the trunk out once I had it to do the barn reshoots, so we added in some of that footage with the original trunk, which is cool. And by the third movie, I'm going to have that trunk completely redone on the interior, so it's going to match the movies. That's the hope anyways. Or as close as I can get it, you know, some of this stuff's hard to find nowadays. The Grimm's mask, I thought that was kind of a fun thing to talk about. So the new Puppet Master's mask, Grimm was his name. So back when I came up with the idea for a new Puppet Master, this sort of mysterious figure. In the script, he was called Grimm, and that's what we ended up just sticking with for the name, because nothing else seemed to fit after that. But I was trying to find a mask. I was like, you know, I found this costume I thought was kind of cool. This cloak that's sort of ragged and tattered. And I was like, well, what can we use for the mask? And back then it was Halloween time, so I was looking at Spirit, I was looking all over. I could not find a mask that was going to be done in time by November. So what we ended up doing is I bought this mask from Spirit, and it was I think it was a nun or something, or it was just like a woman and her eyes were bleeding. And I'll put a picture up here for you so you can check that out. And what I ended up doing is just giving it a total repaint, and this is what it ended up looking like after. And I sort of just hand painted this. We only have the one. And I added some wire mesh on the eyes on the inside. You can see it there. And this sort of became, you know, the mask for the character. And it, you know, it looks really good on film too, which is cool. And that's our video zone. I hope you guys enjoyed checking out this behind the scenes look at a Puppet Master Halloween 2. Hopefully you don't have to wait another 5 years for part 3. Part 3, I want to go big on that one, even more so than this one. You know, like I said, I'm paying for all this out of my own pocket. Paul, you know, Vanessa and I, we all contributed a little bit and to try and get it off the ground. And we're not making any money off of this. Part 3, we'd like to do big and get, you know, the original torch head. The 6-shooter head's a replica, so I'd like to get the original 6-shooter head, get the trunk finished. That's the dream. And I'm hoping maybe we could have 1 or 2 other people helping us out to, you know, on set that will make things a little bit easier. You know, we were traveling in one vehicle. We took my Jeep down there, and that's the one that Paul's driving in the movie.
Puppet Master Halloween 2 is done filming. We're just shooting in some shots that we missed on the first round. And as you can see, we have an original Puppet Master trunk, same model they used in the film. It's hard to find, but we managed to find one. So we're excited to show you guys more of that. It's about 11 a.m. right now, and we're finishing up the lab shots. We got a couple more outside shots, and then we are done wrapping, and we hope to give you this film probably sometime next year, maybe March or February, hopefully. Editing should go well. Thank you guys for your support, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you.
But, you know, we spent hours and hours at the barn. We got it all set up. And that day, I remember we were driving home. And, you know, like I said, it's about a 45-minute drive to an hour to get back home from out there. And we were, I think, maybe like 30 minutes away after we left, and I realized we hadn't filmed the scenes where Seth goes into the barn and finds the, you know, the lab setup and all that stuff. And I was like, well, oh my God. So, you know, because that was our last day of shooting. I'm like, well, what are we going to do now? So originally, at that point, before Danielle, thank God, I love you, allowed us to go back to the barn one more time to shoot. But originally what happened was we were going to have to just cut it right when Seth walks into the barn. That was going to be the end for that one until we could get the third movie shot. But thankfully, Ryan and Danielle told us, hey, you know, it's fine, go ahead and come back out. So Paul and I went out there weekends, you know, about a month after that, drove back out at 4 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning. We had a lot more time to take our time and sort of finalize some of the shots or get better ones to sort of fill in little spots where they needed a little bit more, like when Pinhead's dragging that case, that originally didn't look all that great. We had tried to green screen some footage from here, it didn't look bad. So we went back out there, you know, they let us shoot a little bit more, got that wrapped up, and then that was pretty much it. We got the trunk shots, and then that final day of filming, you know, Paul and Vanessa and I went up on top of the, I guess it was like a cargo container. It's like attached to the barn, but it's cool. They have like a bench up there. You could watch the sunset. Really pretty. And it was, you know, making these movies, I was telling Vanessa one day on the drive, just doing this is like, it's just what I love. It's so much fun, you know, making these films. It's such a good time, and it's, you know, because this isn't a professional movie production. This is a bunch of friends getting together to have a good time, make films, you know, for people that are like-minded, that love the same kind of thing. So I'm just really happy that we could bring it to you, that hopefully you get some good enjoyment out of it. So Full Moon, back in, you know, when they were owned by Paramount, it was like a whole different set of movies. And, you know, it was a bigger budget, obviously, because Paramount's funding it. Full Moon, you know, became its own thing, but it's like things changed at some point there. Even, you know, because Curse of the Puppet Master, that wasn't under Paramount, to my knowledge. It had a way reduced budget. And, you know, the quality does dip quite a bit, but it still is entertaining enough, and it's close enough to the originals that people usually don't mind it. I like that movie. It's, you know, a little bit cheesier acting, but the props still looked really cool mostly. That's why a lot of people go back to watch these movies, because you love the props. That's what I love, the puppets. So our goal with these movies is to try and recreate that type of feeling from back in the day when the movies were how we remember them. For whatever reason nowadays, Full Moon, you know, Charles Band, they kind of took the franchise in a different direction. It's nothing like the original movies, and I think they could kind of reinvent themselves and try and get that quality back if they wanted to, and for some reason they don't. And it's, you know, that's their decision. All I can say is I'll try and put out our little movies here to try and bridge the gap from the original ones to the modern times. I think they're kind of fun. I wish we could shoot a feature-length one. You know, it'd be really cool if we could do that for the third movie. But I guess time will tell. I thought about doing a Kickstarter to see if people wanted to help pitch in, because then it'd be easier to afford to do things. You know, the whole problem with filming the second movie is we need a location. We need somewhere to shoot it. I have a house we've shot here, burned down in the movie, the first movie, so we couldn't use that again. And I don't want to just go shoot in some random house. You want something that's more interesting, different. You know, a mansion, an old Gothic mansion would be kind of cool, something else. And that about sums it up, though. This was our first video zone, hopefully not our last. Hopefully we have a nice big long one for you for the third movie, too. And I'm saying a prayer that one is feature length. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I did contact the Castle Green, which is the original hotel used in Puppet Master, and I was like, man, what if we could do a Kickstarter to get enough money to shoot even just one day at that hotel, like the original movies. And unfortunately, they said it's about $15,000 a day. So they put an axe in that plan. I don't know how the original Puppet Master budget allotted that much money, but I know sure as hell no I can't afford $15,000 a day to get in there. Maybe if I win the lottery. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video zone and taking a closer look at the making of a Puppet Master Halloween 2. Hopefully we get the third one out to you soon, and you haven't seen the last of Seth Piper or Grimm, the new Puppet Master, and we will see you soon. You gotta have it in your mouth and then light it.
No!
Can we like cut it and merge it?
Or just... I guess so. I guess I can cut it.
You want to practice your action?
Start smiling. All right, I will.
Yay!
All right. So.
Hey everybody, it's Paul and Patrick. We just wrapped up filming a Puppet Master Halloween 2. Hope you enjoy it.
Hell yes.
Stay tuned for our video up on YouTube shortly. Thank you. Sparky! What the hell is that dog?